Foil. Foil. A piece of foil. Foil, foil, foil. Even more foil. What's this? Foil. Foil on the table. Foil moving, foil floating. Foil, 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 foil.
Okay, can we talk about foil today? Alright, welcome back to Magic Isn't Real, the place where we question magic and reality, but most likely what's reality and what's magic. So today I want to talk about foil. More specifically, I want to put this question out there in the world. And the question is, how long are you planning to play with pieces of foil? Let me back it up. If you saw the thumbnail of this video, it'll probably say something. I haven't designed it yet. Just kidding. I don't design the thumbnails. I have someone else do it for me, thankfully. But like, we haven't discussed it yet. But I'm sure it's going to say something like, telekinesis is a dead end. I did that to kind of get you mad, so you will click on the video. So now you can come down and listen to what it is that I'm trying to say today. Because the actual question or the actual thumbnail, to be honest, should it be something like telekinesis? Is it a dead end? Could it be something that wastes a lot of your time with no results in the end? And again, hear me out. For once, listen and watch the video until the end. So maybe we don't have to argue in the comment section, okay? Let's try that as a change. A while ago, Fringe Wizard, a friend of the channel, thank you by the way for keep on watching all my videos and leaving comments. It's like really appreciated. Anyway, a while ago, you asked this question, which was, how do I prove telekinesis to myself? Which I thought it was a very interesting question, because if you can prove telekinesis to yourself, you should be able to prove telekinesis to the rest of the world. And the thing is this, like most of the time they tell you that you can prove telekinesis to yourself. You know, you don't need someone to prove it to you. You can prove it to yourself, but they make you do things that honestly don't prove anything, but they might get you to be convinced that you have this ability. Like a psi wheel who would move. I mean, I've done already so many videos talking about the psi wheel and say how it doesn't prove telekinesis, because you never have a guarantee that it's you moving it or not, because it's an object that is super light and is balancing and it has potential energy and pretty much anything can make it move. And this goes for every single piece of foil that you're gonna use to prove telekinesis to yourself. Fringe Wizard wanted something that's a bit more reliable, that's a bit more convincing. So what I did at the time, and again, you can go watch that video. It would be great if you go watch that video. Actually, it would really help with the algorithm, you know, like, and even if you click on the subscribe button right now, maybe hit the like as well, you know, share it with your friends and family. And if you don't have family, don't tell me. I'm already kind of sad these days, and I don't wanna hear it. Anyway, at that time, what I suggested was grab yourself something that is shaped like a cube, Rubik's Cube or a dice or anything that's shaped like a cube, and put it flat on a table and see if you can move it with your mind. It doesn't have to be a massive cube or anything, but like something that is not balancing, something that gravity is keeping quite firm on a table, on a flat surface. So a tiny Rubik's Cube like this would be perfect. And then if you get bored, you can always try to solve it. Now, I actually do not know how to solve a Rubik's Cube, but thankfully I am a magician, so I can always use magic. Now, this particular test that I suggest you do to prove to yourself, and honestly the rest of the world, if you have telekinesis, it's obviously only for people who actually want to do this properly. What I mean by that is that if you're a cheater, you will be able to make that cube move, record it, and post the video. Like, what I mean by that is that if you're cheating, if you're a magician, you can make anything move with your mind. When I gave Fringe Wizard this test, I was really hoping that he's legit. By legit, I mean that he's not trying to cheat. He's not trying to fool me. He legitimately believes that this ability is real, and he wants to make sure if he is moving something with his mind, there's no other things, there's no other physics involved. Surprisingly, and I'm saying surprisingly because usually people, most people don't really listen when I make this video. They either don't watch the video until the end, as I mentioned before, or they just like don't understand what it is that I'm saying. I don't know if it's my accent. I don't know if it's the fact that maybe I talk in a certain way that might seem kind of like aggressive and like you just shut off your brain. But anyway, long story short, Fringe Wizard actually listened, and he started doing a series of experiments where he's trying to see if we can focus crossed his mind to move a little dice that he put on a table. And he started the first experiment, I think this week or last week, I'm not sure. Anyway, he posted a video, which is honestly a very boring video. It's a 5-minute video of him staring at this little dice on a table and talking about like what the process is gonna be. And listen, I'm not judging that it's a boring video, okay? Experiments are boring. Unfortunately, that's the reality of it. Any sorts of experiment, any sorts of test, anything that need to be studied and peer review, it's boring AF. There's nothing we can do about it. So kudos to you, Fringe Wizard, to putting out this content like this and to show us how tedious this process is going to be. After watching that video, I asked you a question, and the question was, does your experiment has an expiration date? To which you replied, why should it? I actually wrote down my response in a very long comment that YouTube has decided to remove or hide. I don't know what happened. So anyway, thank you, YouTube, for that. But at the same time, thank you, because now I'm making this video, which I think it's a very interesting video. And therefore, I'm grateful that the comment was deleted so I can explain better what it is that I was trying to say in my comment over here in a video. And also, I just would like to say that this is the second video that Fringe Wizard has inspired. So if you manage to inspire the third video, you're gonna win a prize. I'm not sure what the prize is. I just think that like if you're someone in the comment section who is, don't get me wrong, sometimes slightly unhinged, don't be offended. Don't be offended. Just go check some of your original comments in this channel. I have to be honest. I'm not someone, I like to be honest with everybody. Some of your comments sometimes are a bit off, but at the same time, you have already inspired two videos, two very interesting videos, and I do actually think that you genuinely want to know if this ability is real. You know, it makes me think that you're not convinced 100%. On the other hand, that you believe 100% in remote viewing, and I gave you a challenge, and you still haven't passed that challenge. So what's going on with that? If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, there's going to be a video. You can go check out this video. It's a remote view challenge video. Anyway, let me try to explain to you what it is that I was trying to say when I ask you if your experiment has an expiration date. So you're saying that you now want to run experiments to demonstrate telekinesis. So demonstrate the fact that your mind is so powerful that it could move an object without, you having to physically touch it. So some sort of force. So your mind can produce some sort of force that move this object, and you're doing experiments to verify if this is the case. Experiments, literally by definition, have to have an ending, have to have a conclusion. An experiment is usually starts with an hypothesis. In this case, like you think that your mind is so powerful that can move an object, and then you design a bunch of experiments, considering all the variables, which is good that you're down with this cube thing. So we're eliminating a bunch of variables like air, balancing, potential energy, potential vibration, different in temperature. So that's good. You're eliminating on all the variables. But the thing is, at some point, this experiment needs to reach an end. You need to get to a conclusion, which is why I was asking if you have an expiration date on this experiment. And I guess the more direct question would be is, how long are you going to stare at this cube? And I'm not trying to be funny here. It's a legitimate question. Okay, let me give you, this might be a very stupid analogy, but I couldn't think of anything better to explain this process. But let's say that I can grow tomatoes in sand, all right? This is my hypothesis. I can grow tomatoes at the beach. So I can plant the seeds in the sand and make them grow. Normally, with normal soil, like a tomato, if you plant tomato seeds, you should have tomatoes in about, I think, I read it, I don't remember correctly, but it's something, let's say, listen, this is just an analogy, it doesn't have to be accurate. What I'm saying is that, let's say that he takes a tomato to grow on normal ground, on normal soil. It takes like between 60 to 100 days. So now I want to demonstrate, my hypothesis is that it can also grow in sand, right? So now I plant the seed in sand, and I have to wait the standard time that takes a tomato to grow, which is 60 to 100 days, right? So now I'm waiting 60 to 100 days, and if the tomato comes out of the sand, then that's it. Experiment is done. I have my conclusion. The conclusion is, yes, tomato can grow on sand. Now, let's say that after 60 to 100 days, there's nothing's coming up. We're checking, there's nothing. Then we're like, okay, it's a different thing. It's sand, it's not normal soil. Maybe it takes longer, right? So now we wait. Now we wait 200 days. It's still nothing. Now we're like, okay, maybe it takes even longer. Let's wait, I don't know, 500 days. Now we're waiting like 500 days, which is almost like basically 5 times the amount of time that it normally takes. At this point, we can almost draw the conclusion that, you know what, maybe tomatoes do not grow on sand. Now, what we can do is that we can run another experiment. We can try different type of sand, different type of tomato seeds. We can try to put, less water, more water. Eventually, though, the experiment needs to reach a conclusion. It needs to end. I've done this for 5 years. The cube has never moved. I tried every possible method of meditation and concentration, and the cube doesn't move. Therefore, telekinesis is not real. Now, I'm not saying that this is the only experiment that can be run. I'm just saying that at what point are we gonna call it quit? This also brings up a kind of issue with the telekinesis experiment. Unlike with the my tomato example that had some sort of data that you can kind of feed from, telekinesis, as far as I know, we have no data to compare it with. So I was trying also, in my comment that I left you that YouTube decided to delete, I was trying also to kind of help you, because how can we establish an expiration date or a date where we can be like, okay, this experiment is over and this is the conclusion, if we don't have anything to compare it with? And I thought about this and I was just kind of thinking, okay, so telekinesis, ideally, it's a skill. It's a skill that you're learning how to use. What you can do, and again, this is just, this is very complicated, and like, I don't know what you do for a living, but I'm a bloody magician and comedian, so I shouldn't be doing scientific experiments whatsoever. But what I think you should do alongside this experiment is that I think you should try to learn another skill as well. For example, let's say that while you're trying to move this cube, you're also learning another language. So it has to be something new to you, kind of like telekinesis. And the reason why I'm saying this is that this could help having some sort of data that you can compare your experiments with. And I think actually learning another language might be the best comparison you can have. Learning another language requires a lot of brain power, and so does telekinesis, according to the few things that you guys are talking about when you guys talk about telekinesis. How long does it take you to learn a new language to the point that you feel like confident that you can have a conversation? Now you have another skill that also requires brain power that you can use to compare. And my God, I know already all the telekinesis practitioners are gonna come up with all sorts of excuses of why this is wrong. Telekinesis is different. It's not the same thing. What are you? You don't understand it. Telekinesis is something that goes beyond our physicality. It could take like many more years. And I was like, I know, I heard it all. Me and Fringe Wizard are trying to be here in the present, in this physical world, in this reality. And we're actually trying to help with this. We're actually trying to get to a proper experiment with a proper conclusion, which none of you has. And you know why none of you has? Because I keep on hearing that you need to start with a side wheel, that you need to start with a foil, because it's like when you go to a gym, you don't start with the heaviest weight. You start with the smallest weight. Great. Fantastic. Amazing. Using this analogy, which one of you can grab the heaviest weight now? And I'm talking to the ones who believe it, not the ones that are cheating. I'm not talking to the Ernest Veeder, the telekinesis guru guys, the guys that are obviously magician. You guys have been doing this for a couple years now, if not even more. Like some guy in the comments, he told me he's been doing this for 15 years. And you're still at the side wheel. You're still at the piece of foil. When does that happen? That you join a gym and then you start with obviously you have to start with the lightest weight. And then after 15 years, you're still just picking up the lightest weight. Unless you're really bad at it, unless you really suck, maybe that's it. Maybe you guys really suck. Maybe you guys are really bad at this skill and you should just abandon it completely. Just don't. Just rather move on to something else. Because maybe this is not, telekinesis maybe it's not for you if you're still just stuck at the side wheel. Why did my screen just went black? I do not like it. In conclusion, I want to go back to the question that I asked in the beginning of this video, which is, this goes for all of you that I don't think you guys are cheating. I think you guys really believe it. And you believe it because you're using, as I said, foil that moves pretty much with anything, but now you have convinced that it is you who are moving the foil. But the question is, the foil is supposed to be your starting point. How long are you planning to play with pieces of foil? How long before you either decide, okay, you know what, this is it. There's no going beyond the foil, which can mean two things. One, that is simply because the foil moves for other reasons, and it's because it's light and, telekinesis doesn't exist. Or two, telekinesis does exist, but that's about it. There's really nothing else you can do with this skill but moving incredibly light objects that are balancing on something, and that's it. That's the case. If number two is the reality, then isn't telekinesis a dead end? Let me give you an example of what I mean that I'm going to take from my own life. Magic for me really started truly as a hobby. I really didn't think magic was gonna go anywhere at all, and it started as a hobby. I wasn't planning on performing anywhere. I wasn't even planning to not even to show my family. It was really just for me. Like, I like watching magic, I like learning about magic, I like playing with a deck of cards. From a hobby, it became like a passion. I almost didn't plan it. One thing kind of lead to another, and then expand to this, and expand to me doing shows. Last year I went on national television performing magic. Like, the thing really escalated from something super small that I was just doing for fun on the side to basically my life now. That happened also because I made certain choices that I could have simply just I could have just kept it as a hobby. I could have just kept it as no, magic is something that I do for myself. When I'm alone and I got nothing to do, I grab a deck of cards and I just kind of entertain myself, and it could have stayed there. It could have absolutely stayed there. But I made certain choices that allow me to bring it to the next level and to the next level and to the next level, turning from a hobby into a passion, into something that really makes me happy, into something that now is actually becoming a career. And I feel like if I keep on making these choices, it could become even bigger and bigger. Again, if I want to. But my question is this: with magic, with my passion, with my hobby, with the thing that I decided to dedicate most of my life, I have these options. With yours, do you have these options? You can choose to play with a piece of foil for the rest of your life, and that's fine. Like, I could have choose to just play with a deck of cards alone in my apartment for the rest of my life. But the difference is, other options suddenly were available to me. Do you have other options? Or is that the only option? Play with a piece of foil for the rest of your life. Is that the only option that telekinesis can give you? Or can it expand to more? To conclude this video, because I know that someone is going to mention this, because I heard this before, moving a piece of foil, it doesn't matter actually. That's just a side effect. What telekinesis actually does is that it makes you sharper, and it's not about moving a piece of foil. The piece of foil is just to help you meditate and focus. What's important is what comes after, or the fact that your mind improves. And I'm like, that's all well and good. If it were me and I decided to learn telekinesis, I would want this skill to get to the next level. I can improve myself in other ways. I could be happy in other ways. If I pick something called telekinesis, the power of moving something with your mind, I want to be able to move something with your mind, which means that I want to be able to move anything I want with my mind, and I want to be able to do it every single time I do it. I want to be able I want to be able to monetize it. I want to be able to do magic shows where I perform real telekinesis to people. Everything, if you're happy with the other stuff, whatever the other stuff is, sure. But then don't call it telekinesis. Call it something else. Call it self-improvement, mind journey or whatever. If you're going to call it telekinesis, we're going to be talking about telekinesis, which is moving something with your mind. And if that something is only a piece of foil, then I'm not interested. In any case, once again, thank you so much for being here. And now you know the drill. I want you to prove to me that you watched the video until the end. So, in order for you to prove it to me, let's see. We always pick we've been picking a cards recently. Let's see. So to prove to me that you watched the video until the end, you have to say Rubik's Cube. Gotcha.